Good morning, everybody, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizing committee, the University of Florence, NYU Stern School of Economics, JRC, European Commission, and together with the host institution, the European Stability Mechanism, European Investment Bank Institute, and the European Investment Fund, I declare open the 8th edition of the International Risk Management Conference, this year in Luxembourg. As many of you know, I'm Oliviero Roggi, I'm the chairman of the Risk Banking and Finance Society, and I'm serving from 8 years now as a conference permanent organizer together with Anev. So it's my responsibility to introduce you to the IRMC for the ones that are new, and also to this year's topic. Before to give the floor to my colleagues and this year host institutions representative, I would like to give you some insight and the reason why we are here. But let me start thanking the three European institutions that decided to be the host for this year. As I said before, the European Stability Mechanism, European Investment Bank Institute, and the European Investment Fund decide together to co-host this conference. And my thanks goes to Godard, Helmut Kramer-Hayes, Peter Hallow, Kalin Anev, Cosimo Pacciani, Sergio Scandizzo, and Tania Tanayama and Pierre Tichon for the great helps they gave us during the preparation, and also for on the scientific committee, to integrating this scientific committee for this edition. To Cosimo, who coordinated the local committee, go probably an extra thanks due to the extra effort that he put into the conference. But to the three institutions that they are working together on this event, really goes my great thanks. Why Luxembourg? Why ESM, EIB, and the EIF? I think I have an answer, but I will try to convince you of this. When 8 years ago this conference started, really ESM didn't exist. And frankly, we wouldn't have imagined to be here today speaking in front of a series of key financial institutions in Luxembourg about financial stability, growth, and regulation. The crisis of 2008, before being of financial volatility and credit contagion, has been one of the destructive and instability. And also the role of the ESM as today, and the key mandate assigned to EIB and EIF by the Juncker administration show that what we were saying back in 2007 was right. Financial stability mattered, and there was a need to have a visionary perspective for a dynamic change in the European financial markets. Stability matters immediately after the crisis. So being here today in front of all of you, as important decisions are going to be taken in these coming weeks, and hopefully not live in this conference, is like observing the history in action. And this is the part of the same history that brought a group of European countries to locate here in Luxembourg the headquarters of the European Community Carbon and Steel in 1951. Now we don't have any more carbon and steel, but we need to have free movement of capital, access to credit, stable financial conditions. This is the new engine of the economy, like it was the steel and carbon in 1951. So it is important to be in Luxembourg. That is crucial, is a key place for the European Commission, the European community. It's key also to us. This year conference is in fact focus on the three words that I just mentioned: financial stability, regulation, and growth. And the three institutions are each with their own roles, playing a key role in this field. Before to go and listen directly from them, I would like to also acknowledge the sponsor. As usual, you know that there is no conference without sponsor and supporting people that support both with financial resources and human resources. So in this case, my thanks goes mainly to the JRC European Commission that is decided to be the co-organizer, so it's also a big financial support. The Salomon Center as well, but the newcomers are Prometheia, this year the main sponsor for the conference, and Luxembourg for Finance. I cannot forget also the people and the staff that they make possible from the operational perspective to run this conference, so I have to thank my staff from RBF and Finanza Firenze for the effort that they put it into the conference management. So I think I would like to give the floor to Kalin now, and I will get back the word. I will get back to you later on the conference structure. The floor is yours. Thank you, Kalin.
Thank you, Olivier. Good morning and welcome to Luxembourg. I see also a lot of familiar faces from the ESM, but for those of you that traveled from afar, welcome to the UNESCO World Heritage part of Luxembourg, where you're today in Goond. I'm Kalin Anev. I'm the Secretary General of the EFSF and the ESM, and I'm very proud that we are co-organizing this event. It's an honor to have you here in the center of Europe and to discuss the state of play of risk management in the future. I'll build a bit on Olivier's point why Luxembourg is the center of Europe and the center on the themes that you see here: risk investment, financial stability, and regulation. If I start with investment, the EIB has its headquarters here, and not only it's one of the largest multilateral banks, but it also received the responsibility of the 315 billion Juncker plan, which should help Europe grow out of the crisis. Financial stability. The EFSF and the ESM are based here, and we have a balance sheet of 970 billion. We have 80 billion paid in capital, which makes us the largest IFI, so international financial institution. And on regulations, the council, so the ministers of finance, meet here twice a year. This week, Greece will be discussed, as many of you know, but a few years ago, in October 2013, the single supervisory mechanism has been created in Luxembourg, and agreements were done in Luxembourg. So even though it's a very small country, it is at the center of policy making and the European financial sector. So why are we proud to co-organize this conference? Well, partly, I personally am very passionate about risk management. It's one of the most important, if not the most important pillar of a financial institution. But second of all, the mandate of our institution is very, very risk related. And I try to give you 3 examples why that's the case. The first one is risk prevention. EFSF was created in June 2010, 5 years ago, with the goal to prevent crises in Europe, prevent contagion, and to be like an insurance scheme. So we had a 440 billion lending capacity, but we were not supposed to be used. We were 12 people in the beginning. I was the 9th employee, and the goal was to be set up in 2010 and close down the institution in 2013. We all know how history developed, and by now the EFSF has given 192 billion to Ireland, Portugal, and Greece. Risk sharing, second topic. The creation of the European Stability Mechanism in October 2012 as the permanent risk resolution mechanism with 500 billion lending capacity and the 80 billion paid in capital is like a European risk-sharing, risk diversification institution. Our goal is to ensure that, that countries in difficulty in Europe can be supported by other member states. And finally, risk culture. My goal when creating the EFSF and the ESM was to create a very modern IFI and to also be exemplary in risk management. So we started with the 12 staff members, then we moved to 25 to 45, we're now 140. We started first with an embedded risk management system, then we centralized the risk function to a very strong CRO and deputy CRO, but at the same time we try to ingrain risk culture within all officers. Today we have 11 central risk officers, which is 8% of the staff. But if I take into account middle and back office, ALM, internal policies, we have around 15 people that deal with risk management, 15% of the institution. And what we try to do is to make of every staff member a risk manager. As our mandate as the ESM is to go into countries when the private investors actually are moving out of them. So, as you can see, these 2 days are very, very important for our institution. We're not only co-hosting it, but we have submitted academic papers. We have our managing director, our CRO, deputy CRO speaking, and we have around 10 participants of the ESM. So I wish you all 2 very intellectually challenging days, good and open discussions, and I would highly recommend you to have a walk around in this part of the town. You have 1.5 hours of free time this afternoon. With the sun, it's one of the most beautiful places in Europe. Welcome.
Thank you, Kalin. And now the floor to Godard, Director General, Head of Risk of the European Investment Bank.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Oliviero, for inviting me for this conference and introduction of these 2 interesting days. When you mentioned before, the reason why you have organized such an event in Luxembourg. Today you mentioned in relation to ESM. I would add maybe another reason to this, which is precisely the creation of one of the most popular plan in Europe nowadays, which is the so-called Juncker plan. The Juncker plan calls for certainly organizing such an event here in Luxembourg. I'd like to say a few words of maybe of content on top of welcoming for this meeting today. And I'd like to indeed make a relationship between this conference, the title of this conference, of how investment, financial stability, regulation will shape the European and global financial markets, and make the relation to precisely what makes us very busy at the moment, which is indeed this European plan for Europe, the so-called Juncker plan. It is indeed particularly relevant topic today for us, and I'd like to share with you some thoughts, personal thoughts, but also as head of risk at EIB. So, as you know, this so-called Juncker plan aims precisely to achieve 3 main goals, very much again in relation to your topic these 2 days. So one is mobilizing the investment capacity of about 300 billion over 3 years in Europe, and this is via the creation of a European Fund for Strategic Investment, so-called FC. This fund will be located within EIB. The second goal is supporting investment in the real economy. And third is creating an investment-friendly environment which makes Europe more attractive, but also remove some regulatory bottleneck currently in Europe. So let me comment briefly on the three main elements, which are again to me very relevant for your debates today. So the first comment I'd like to make is on this creation of the European Fund for Strategic Investment. As you know, this management. As you know, this fund is supposed to mobilize private investment across Europe and to address market gaps. What we mean by market gaps is precisely to remove certain constraints that financing has been, let's say, considered over the last years. So the constraint of investing into sectors that were probably funded over the last 2 years. So for this fund, the 3 or 4 main sectors that would be targeted by the FC would be the strategic infrastructures, including digital, transport and energy, education, research and innovation, sustainable projects in the sectors of renewable energy and resource efficiency, as well as smaller businesses, so SMEs. The FC will be given 21 billions of guarantees and funds. Mostly 16 billion will come from the EU budget in the form of a guarantee, and 5 billion will come from the EIB group. To reach a total plan of about 315 billion of investment, the plan targets to mobilize and leverage an additional 300 billions, which means 15 euro of private money for 1 euro of public money committed. This will be mobilized using some innovative financial instruments, so-called first loss peace mechanism. This is a structures that you may have heard about, or you may know in your different organization. It's a mechanism that allow or provide a guarantee on a portfolio basis, and which will be used here to leverage the financing of the EU fund and transform that into real investment for Europe. The second challenge that we would address through this Juncker plan would be the channeling of these funds into the real economy, which has been a challenge again over the last years. So for that, this plan aims to create what we call an investment advisory hub, which will be also located inside the EIB. It would facilitate the identification of a project, but also the structuring of projects. So from a risk management point of view, this I take my hat off of head of risk. The project selection is very important to us, because the private funding needs to be additional, so it does not substitute existing projects that have been already identified. It comes on top of a project currently foreseen in Europe. So the idea is really to unlock some projects that have not been, let's say, financed the last years because too risky or because not, let's say, too or enough lucrative for private investors. The IB is therefore, as you can imagine, for a risk manager, very much in the heart of this new plan, which means for us additional risk. Clearly, the average risk profile of this new operation would be much higher than the risk that the bank is taking at the moment. This will be possible because precisely of this guarantee that we will receive from the EU and the leverage we will make out of it to finance new projects. And maybe last but not least, I'd like to mention that your title again addressed very much one of our concerns, which are the regulatory constraints across Europe at the moment, both at European but also at national level. For this project to be successful, we need clear, predictable and a stable environment. This is particularly true for long-term investment. And if I take example like renewable energy, which have been subject to some changes recently in Europe, it is extremely important to be able to count on stable environment for next year to precisely favor private investment. What else to say? I'd like to also to mention that some of these elements, regulatory and both again at European but also at national level, would need to be solved and addressed in the next months. We know that a lot of work has been already done in this area, particularly as far as regulation and also accounting is concerned. But there's still a lot to do, and I hope that this forum, this conference, these 2 days, will bring some possible solutions or route to address the concern that we have today in Europe. So again, thank you very much for inviting me for this introduction. I'm afraid, as I said before, this week is extremely busy for us in Luxembourg, so I will not be able to attend your meetings, but I see already a few colleagues from the IB would, I'm sure, represent well this institution, and I wish you again very nice and